Hey there, it's Nina with Walla Stamping. Thanks for joining me today. This is the project that I'm going to be sharing with you. And yes, I realize that it is the end of July and it is hotter than blue blazes outside, but at least it is in Tennessee. I wanted to share this with you because you have probably seen me or some other demonstrators talking about the Carols of Christmas bundle. This is going to be available to you starting August the 1st, so I wanted to go ahead and share this project with you because a shadow box is something that I have wanted to do for a really long time, but I felt like it could be hard to teach or maybe be confusing for beginner crafters. But I've made about 4 of these this week, and I hope that I will be able to explain to you how to make this in a way that will be understandable. But because this bundle is going to be coming available in, I don't know what, a week and a half, I wanted to share this with you so that if you're one that likes to get a jump start on your Christmas card making, then this is a bundle you may be interested in getting. So let's jump on into this project. Now this one I did with Real Red. I'm going to do the next one with Cherry Cobbler. So we need to start out with a piece that's 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. I have a piece of Very Vanilla that's 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, and then a small piece of Garden Green that's 2 by 3. We want to start off by doing some scoring. So let me grab my Simply Scored scoring tool, and I'm going to put my Cherry Cobbler in there. Now the scoring is pretty simple. You're going to score every 1/2 inch up to 2 inches. We're going to start off at 1/2 inch, an inch, 1 1/2 inches, and then 2. We're going to do that on all 4 sides of the paper. So a 1/2, 1, 1 1/2, 2. Repeat that on the 3rd side. And finally the 4th side. Now once you get finished scoring here, just leave your paper in place because we got a couple more score lines to make. We're going to come in here at the 2 1/2 mark. We're going to score down only to that 2nd horizontal score line and stop. Then come over to 5 3/4 and do that again. Flip it around to the opposite side. So here's the 2 little score lines I just made. So go to 2 1/2, score down past the 1st line, stop at the 2nd horizontal, 5 3/4, score down to the 2nd, and stop. Now the trimming is a little bit more involved, but it's still not difficult. Let me go ahead and get all of my score lines folded and burnished, and then I will show you how to do the trimming. Now, those little short score lines that you made, you do not need to worry about those as far as folding and burnishing goes. Just do all of the long score lines that you made at first. There's the 2 little short score lines there and there. So I'm going to start trimming on the side that does not have the short score lines. And what we're going to do is we're going to trim up this 4th vertical score line, and we're going to come all the way up to the 4th horizontal score line and stop. So let's do that again. Cut up the 4th score line from the outer edge and stop at the 4th score line from the outer edge here. I mean, that's pretty simple. I know you got this. Where it gets a little bit tricky is when we start doing the trimming with the short score lines, which I'm going to show you now. So here are my short score lines here and here. What you'll do is trim up this short score line and stop when you reach the 2nd horizontal score line. Turn your scissors diagonally, and we're going to trim over to where the 3rd horizontal and the 4th vertical score lines intersect. So trim right there. Then we're going to turn our scissors back straight again and cut this corner piece off just like that, and that's what you'll be left with. So let's do that again on this side. Cut up the short score line, stop at the 2nd horizontal, turn your scissors diagonally, cut over to where the 3rd horizontal and the 4th vertical score line meet, turn your scissors back straight again and cut that corner off. All right, so I have this side to do as well. Let's go ahead and get that done. And if this is something that is monotonous to you, that you've already done this and you kind of know what I'm doing, I apologize. But for those of you who have never done a shadow box before and the trimming part could be confusing, then I want to make sure that I show you all 4 cuts so that it will register with you, because that's the way that I am. I have to see something done sometimes more than once for it to click. All right, so when you're done with your trimming, this is what you're going to be left with, okay? And as always, you know that I will have a printable PDF over on my blog at wallastamping.com, and I always include a scoring and cutting diagram in there for you, so that something like this that could be a little bit not certain about, you will have a diagram to follow and know exactly where to cut. So I'm going to turn this over. So this is the inside of my box now. Or actually, I take that back. I'm going to leave it on this side. I'm going to be using tear and tape. I'm going to put tear and tape on all of these outermost tabs, and I'm running that right next to that first score line there. And the great thing about tear and tape is that it is strong, and you can just tear it like that if you want to. Of course, you can use your scissors if you would like to trim it instead. And when I use my scissors, all I do is just put it down, pull it back, and then trim it off like that. It is not hard at all. You could also use liquid glue on this if you wanted to. You could use fast fuse as well. But I just like the tear and tape because I have more control over where I'm putting it. So now I'm going to turn my box over, or my paper, so that I'm looking at the inside, and where all of these diagonal cuts are, we're going to put tear and tape on those too. And I like to run mine a little past the corners of where I've cut, so instead of making it even with those score lines, I run it a little bit past. I want enough adhesive there to make sure that my box is going to hold together very, very well. Okay, so we've got all the tear and tape in place. Oopsie, knocking things around. I'm going to rub my bone folder over the top of everything just to make sure that it is stuck down really well. All right, so now we're going to start putting things together. First of all, I'm going to leave these in place, and the 2 sections that are just rectangular shaped, I'm going to fold it in half on this second score line right there. So what that means is that your cut edge will line up with this score line right here. I'm going to use my piercing tool and remove the backing from that tape. Now I'm going to keep this tucked in against that score line, and I'm going to fold it over a second time. Use my bone folder and press that down. And there we go, it's stuck in place. And then I like to take my bone folder, fold it back the opposite way, and press it again. I feel like that gives me really sharp corners there. So let's do that again. Second score line, fold it over. That means your raw edge and this score line are meeting up with each other. Remove the adhesive backing. Keep that raw edge tucked in tight against that score line. Fold it over again, press it down. Fold it back the opposite way and press it down. Okay, very good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and remove the adhesive from these corners here, because we will be needing to adhere these areas down in just a second. Okay, then to keep that from sticking to anything before I need it to, I'm going to take these little pieces of tear and tape and just put those back on there. And then these longer pieces that I had from the backing in those places, I'm going to use those as well Stick that into place. Now you can also use liquid glue here if you'd like to. I did use liquid glue with a couple of the ones that I made earlier this week, and it worked well, but sometimes I have a tendency to be a little bit messy with liquid glue. So I'm going to use this today, and I have run out of strips here to use as backing, so I'm going to get a little inventive, and I'm going to put that like that, and put another one like that. Okay, now I'm going to fold this in half again, just like we did before. Take off that adhesive backing, fold this over, press it down, then open that back up. Dropped my piercing tool. Fold this in half, take off that backing, keep that tucked into that score line, fold it over. Okay. Oops, I think I got it stuck in there. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I've got these folded flat. I'm going to pull out these little pieces that I stuck back on top of that adhesive. And this is where I'm going to fold these into place on one side and then the other. I'm just going to match up the inner and outer corners there. I've got a little bit of tape right there, but I'm not going to worry about that. So matching up those outer corners and press that down. Now I'm going to pull off that adhesive. I've got a little piece stuck down in there. Let me get that out. All right, yep, we're good there. Get all that out of the way. Then we're going to fold this back up into place, meet up these corners here, make sure the outside corners are meeting up. Okay, so there is our shadow box put together. I absolutely love this. It just thrills me to make one of these. Now I'm going to take my 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece. I'm going to use my graph paper and use the lines to get this centered up here. Then I'm going to take my cherry cobbler ink, and I'm going to be using the Deck the Halls stamp for this. Get that inked up really good. All right. And then I'm going to have to probably get my head in the way in order to look over this to make sure I've got it centered, but I will try to cut that out of the video so you don't have to see my hair. Alrighty, so I got that centered. I'm going to give that a little bit of a press just because it is a pretty good size little stamp. There we go. It's a little bit too high, maybe about 1/8 of an inch too high, but that's not bad. Okay, so now I'm going to stick that to the inside of my shadow box, and I'm just going to use my fine tip glue pen to do this with. And this is cut just slightly smaller than the inside of your shadow box, so you'll have just a very small little edge of the cherry cobbler showing from around the outside. Okay, now I'm going to use my framelits. I'm going to use the Christmas tree and these little holly pieces right here. Let me grab my Big Shot. So I'm going to place my paper there and my tree, and I'm going to put my tree kind of off to, let me scoot this in a little better so you can see. I'm going to put my tree off to one corner so that I have room to cut out my little hollies. And I'm going to cut out 4 of these and 1 tree. So I'm going to get that run through and get these cut out, and then I'll cut out 3 more of the little hollies. So now I have my tree and my 4 little hollies cut out, and this is something that I have chosen to do. You certainly don't have to do this step because it is kind of small and tedious, but the piece of cherry cobbler that was left over after I trimmed my paper, I'm going to take this and my 1/8 of an inch hole punch, and I'm just going to come in here and punch out a bunch of these little cherry cobbler pieces. All right, then open that up and drop all those out. Okay, I like to use my piercing tool because these are really small and it makes it easier to pick up. Let me see if I can't zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing better. Use my piercing tool in place of my fingers because these are small. All right, let me rub some of that glue off of there. I just come in here and put 3 dots of glue. Then I use my piercing tool to pick up these little pieces of red paper and stick those on top of those little dots of glue. And that is the holly berries that I'm adding to my holly leaves. So let me do that again for you. Just put 3, oops, that kind of blobbed, so I'm just going to put those all together. Okay, so like I said, this is kind of a small, tedious little thing to do. You can choose to add these or not to add these. It's totally up to you, but I think it makes it really cute. And if you're only going to make 1 or 2 of these to send to somebody special, it's worth taking the time to add these extra special little touches. All right, come on. Okay, so see, that really didn't take but what, a minute to do that. So even though it's small, it's worth it. I think it's just so cute. Now, I have got somewhere over here some rhinestones, but actually I need more of this size. I think I have another sheet in my stash. Let me take a look real quick. Okay, yes I did. I had another piece with some small ones. Now I'm placing these on my tree, and to me they represent either ornaments or the lights on a tree, because I like white lights on my tree over the colored lights. So that's kind of what this is representing to me, but of course it could be an ornament for you if that's what you like to think of them as. Oopsie. Okay, so I'm out of that size, and this is the old style, and those are stuck together. Now what I do sometimes is I just pull them apart like that, but I didn't want to have to take the time to do it today, so I just used the loose ones. All right, I'm gonna grab this and bring it back in. I want my tree to go right here. So again, I'm just gonna use my fine tip glue pen. I'm gonna run a little bit of glue right here and across the bottom and stick that in place. Then my little holly pieces, I'm just gonna put them up here in the corners. So I'm just going to put a couple of dots of my glue. Now you can either use your piercing tool to pick these up like I did before, or you can use your fingers or some tweezers. Sometimes I'll use tweezers to do this kind of thing too. And just place them where you like them. Oopsie. Okay. All right, so there is the second shadow box done. Let me grab the first one so you can see it, because it's done in cherry cobbler as, real red. This one, oh, let me back out. Crud. All right, I had forgotten to zoom out, so let me explain to you what I did. I put some glue here on the corner behind my tree, and some glue up here in the corners, and I just stuck my holly and my tree into place. So hopefully you didn't miss out on anything. My apologies, I don't normally zoom in, so I forgot to zoom out. But this is the cherry cobbler, this is the real red version, and I'm going to have links to all of the featured supplies listed in the description box below this video. So you're going to want to be sure though to head on over to my blog, because I have a complete list of supplies over there, and I'm also preparing a printable instruction sheet for you. It's going to give you all of the dimensions as well as the directions for the project. So you're going to have lots of information over there to check out on my blog, as well as more pictures. Thank you for stopping by today. I really hope that you enjoyed the project. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting tutorial videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.